Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar for PTE repeat sentences. So first let us understand uh, that what is this task. So for those who have never given the test or maybe they're going to give the test very soon or just planning to prepare for PTE, let me give you a brief idea that what repeat sentences is, and then we'll slowly go on and understand that how you should approach this particular task, and then at the end we'll be doing some practice questions. Right, so repeat sentences is the second task of your test and the second task of the speaking section. So your test begins with the speaking section and repeat sentences is the second task of this test. So what you have to do here is, let's just see that how the screen looks on the test day, how the screen would look for this particular task. So you have to, and as you look at the screen, I'll explain that what you have to do. So on the test day, you'll get, okay, we've started getting some messages in the chat. So I'd just like to instruct all of you that I would not be responding to the messages when the webinar is going on, but I would definitely be answering all your questions once we have finished discussing about the repeat sentences task, and I'll help you understand, and I'll definitely make sure that all your questions are answered. All right, so let us start. I hope you are having a visual of my screen now. So this is how the screen would be on the day of your test. And as the instruction panel here suggests, you will be listening to a sentence and you have to repeat that sentence exactly as you hear it. And the sentence will be played only once. Well, this sentence is the sentence that you hear is basically you are listening to some piece of information. Now, this could be some instruction, or this could just be some plain information that you're listening to. So you have to listen to this information and then you have to repeat this information exactly as it is. This sentence will not be repeated uh, again. You cannot replay it. So in the very first time, you have to listen to the sentence very carefully with complete focus, and then you have to repeat it in the given time. So let us understand it more. The box on the top is the uh, audio box, or you can say this is the box where from where you'll be listening to the recording. So as soon as this task begins, as soon as you finish the first task of the speaking section, which is read aloud, and when you click next, when you have the last read aloud task, and when you click next, the very next task is repeat sentences. So this will be the first. When you get the first repeat sentence, it will just be something like this. It will show the box on the top would show beginning in 3 seconds. So this is the exact time you have. It is 3 seconds. It will be 3, 2, 1, and your sentence would start. The recording would start, and you would be listening to a sentence. The sentence would be some piece of information, or it would be some instruction that you have to just listen to. And this will be played only once. So, and here the line over here, it will show the bar going on. It will progress as the sentence progresses. So once the sentence starts, this bar will start to become green, or maybe blue, and then it will just go till the end over here. And once it's over here, then this recording will begin. So the recording is where whatever you will be speaking would be recorded. So the box in the blue box, the light blue box, which is at the bottom of the screen, this is the box where your recording begins. So or this is the box which will show that your recording has started. Now you need to understand that there would be no beep in this particular question type. So as soon as your sentence is over and this bar ends here, immediately the bar over here would start. So if you just look here, it is showing that beginning in 3 seconds, and here it is showing beginning in 8 seconds, which means that the sentence that you have to listen to is going to begin in 3 seconds, and the time when you have to start speaking, that is 8 seconds. So it is the 5 seconds, it would be a 5-second long sentence that you are about to listen for this particular instance. Now the sentence could be longer, and the time here in the bottom could maybe 10 seconds, 9 seconds, or sometimes even 7 seconds, depending on the length of the sentence that you have to listen to. So this is how the screen would be. There's nothing much on the screen for you to look, except just making sure that you start speaking when your recording starts. You don't start speaking before the recording is started, and you don't start speaking a long time after your actual recording is started. And this would just the above box would help you to understand that when the recording is about to begin. But believe me, in the on the day of the test, you will not have all the time to even process all this information when you're sitting there on the test day. So you'll have to be really focused, really alert. And if you would have practiced a lot for this task, only then you would be able to respond in the given time. So this is how you will be facing the screen. This is how your screen would be looking on the day of the test. And both the boxes that you saw would be the indicators. They will be giving you the indication that what is the next task that you have to perform. Well, so let's first understand that what are the skills that are tested in this task, or what are the skills that PTE wants to test in this task. So is it just a task to test your memory, or is it really a task that has to do something with English? So we'll understand it. Let's just have a, I'll share my screen so that I can share some points with you. That would be the points that PT wants to test. Those are the points on which PT wants to test you. So let us see what are those points. So repeat sentence is the task where your communicative skills are tested. The communicative skills of listening and speaking are tested, which means this is the task where you'll be assessed both for your listening and speaking. So this also means that the scores that you get will be contributed both towards your listening and the speaking section. So when you get your scorecard, on the scorecard, the listening score that you get and the speaking score that you get, both the scores would have a contribution from this particular task. And this is a really important task for PTE. If you just miss one, two, or maybe one or two questions or one or two sentences, it could have a damaging effect on your scores. Specifically, if you are aiming for 79 or above, you should not you cannot just think of missing anything in this particular task. Well, so let's see what are the skills that PT wants to test, and why it is important to understand what are the skills that PT wants to test is so that you can specifically identify that on which skills you are lagging, and you can then start working on those skills, or you can just start at least polishing your particular sub skill. So the first sub skill that is tested is understanding academic vocabulary. Now, most of you would be aware about this, but still I would repeat that the PTE, because it is an academic test, whatever you listen to or whatever sentences you listen or whatever information that you read in PTE is academic vocabulary. So it is not our day-to-day vocabulary that we listen to, but the vocabulary would be academic. So the vocabulary that a university student can expect to listen in his or her life. So academic vocabulary would be different from the day-to-day vocabulary, like in many there are many examples of it, but let's say that even the phrases that you listen to would be slightly be different from what you'll be doing in your day-to-day life. So I'll when we start doing the practice questions towards the end of this seminar, I'll explain you that how academic vocabulary is different from the day-to-day vocabulary that we using, and why it is very, very important to have to be familiar with a lot of academic vocabulary. You might be very good at English, you could be very good at English, you might be using English as your daily language, but still, even the native speakers who are speaking English for a long time are facing a difficulty in this particular question type, and the reason is because they're not familiar with the academic vocabulary. So although you might be using English for your work, you might be using English as a part of your day-to-day life, but still you could face a problem in this particular task. And the biggest reason for that could be the lack of academic vocabulary, the lack of words that are used in a university setup or in a classroom setup. Words like seminars, dissertations, essays, references, all there are a lot of words. There's a lot of there is an entire academic collocation list that is that is easily available on the official Pearson website, which which is a very extensive list. So there are a lot of academic words, and there could be many that you might not be familiar with. So this is the first or the most important skill that you have to work on. Now, some very good speakers of English language could know a lot of these words, but not all. So I would suggest that even if you're very familiar with a lot of academic vocabulary, make sure that you just enhance this by reading and just going through those words again and again, so that you establish the meaning of those words very in a very efficient manner in your day-to-day usage. And for those who are not familiar with academic vocabulary, I would suggest that start taking up a few words every day, maybe 5 or 10 words every day, and make sentences using those words, or try and understand the meaning of those words within sentences. So that is a very important or the most basic or the founding I would say the basic thing that you would need when you start doing the repeat sentences task. You would need to have a lot of academic vocabulary. And here we must understand one very big difference between just knowing the words, the spelling of the words, and just reading those words is very different from listening the words. You might be familiar with the spelling of a word, or you might be familiar reading a word, but the sound of that particular word is a different thing. So I would suggest that listen to a lot of academic vocabulary as well. Put out those words in online. Nowadays a lot of softwares are available where you just put the word and you can listen to the sound of that word. You can easily find that even Google has a service where you can just type that particular academic word, and you'll be able to listen to the sound of that word. It is very, very important to be familiar with the sound of the word, not just the written word, or just the spelling of that particular word. Now, moving to the next skill that PT will be testing is inferring the meaning of unfamiliar words. Now, despite having the knowledge of a lot of academic words, still there would be some words that you might not be familiar with, or there could be some name, maybe the name of some professor that you listen to in a particular repeat sentence, and you might not be familiar with that word, or you might be listening to a term that you might not be very familiar with, but still you PT wants you to infer the meaning of that from the entire sentence that you listen to. So when you listen to a particular word, and within a sentence you should be able to identify the meaning of the word from the surrounding information that you've listened to. So for example, if the sentence is um, okay, I am not able to think of anything right now. All right, professor, let's pick up. It's a very common sentence, but still I'll use it. Professor Smith will be late for today's lecture. Now when you listen to this sentence, now the name here is Professor Smith. Now maybe it's a very common name, but maybe if you're not familiar with the name, but still you just listen to the sound of that name, and you should be able to infer that this is a name just because it's placed after Professor Smith. It could be Professor Jack, or Professor J, or Professor John or Professor Chang, whatever. It could be any name. You should be able to just find out the name from there. So you should just be able to identify from the entire sentence that this is a name and I need to pronounce it, even if you're not familiar with that particular name, or you might not have heard that particular name. In the same way, there would be a lot of other words that you might not have heard about, but still you should be able to identify from the surrounding meaning. So the more you will be familiar with the academic vocabulary, the more it will be easy for you to infer the meaning of unfamiliar words. And yes, definitely there is one more skill which you need to have in order to ace in repeat sentences, and that skill is to comprehend variations in tone, speed, and accent. When I say variations in tone, speed, and accent, means that you'd be listening to a lot of different accents: British, American, maybe Irish, Chinese, Indian, a lot of different accent, a lot of different demographics, and it could be very fast, it could be very slow. There could be sometimes there could be some sort of slight disturbance. You need to be able to comprehend the sentence with a lot of different tones, and that is why it is very important to listen to the sound of a lot of academic words and not just read them. It is very important to listen to the sound of the academic words and be familiar with them, so that when you even listen to those sounds in unfamiliar situations, still you are able to relate to that sounds. A very good example of this is that a lot of people who live in who would be living in, say, Australia, would have listened this, that hey mate, how are you? This is a regularly said greeting, that hi mate, how are you? Now, many different people say this in different ways, different tones, during different times, and with different speeds, with different pitch of their sound. But still, we are able to, most of the people living here, even if they're not very familiar with English, would still be able to identify this phrase, hey mate, how are you? Hey mate, what's up? The reason to that you're easily able to relate to this particular piece of information is that you're so familiar with the words that are used, that now it is very easy for you to comprehend that in all the different tones. Either it could be hey mate, how are you? Or even if someone says that hey mate, how are you? Or hey mate, how are you? All the different tones, and you still know that what the person is saying. And the reason is the familiarity with the sound of that particular word on day-to-day basis. And because you're so familiar, you're able to relate to it very easily. If you start doing that just for all the academic words as well, it will be very easy for you to pick up those words in different tones and accents. But this, believe me, needs a lot of practice, a lot of listening practice, and this will not happen overnight. You'll have to practice this systematically, and I'll discuss the other ways of practice as soon as we progress to the next slides. Right. Now, what this was all about listening. Now, when you're repeating the sentence, you should be able to repeat it for a purpose. So, like you're informing or explaining. To put it this very simply, I would just say that try to repeat it with the same tone in which the speaker is saying, and you'll be definitely covering this particular sub skill. You'll also be covering speaking at a natural rate. If you're just able to produce the same tone as or that of the speaker. Use the correct intonation, using the correct pronunciation, using the correct stress, and speaking at a timed condition. So all these sub skills of speaking can easily be covered if if you just could if you just can try and just repeat it in the same in the same tone in which the speaker has said the particular sentence. So this is basically, these are the skills that PT would want you to be very good at, or these are the skills which you would necessarily need to master in order to perform really good in this particular task, which is repeat sentences. Now we'll quickly look at the scoring of repeat sentences, and then move towards the ideal way of listening and the ideal way of speaking the sentence. So the repeat sentences task is scored for content. At the same time, it is also scored for oral fluency and pronunciation. So let's first see the scoring for content. Content means that how, okay, let's just, I'll just explain it here on the screen. So if you listen to a sentence, the sentence normally would be 3 to 9 seconds long. That is the length of the sentence. Now it could be around, it could be as small as 8 to 10 words, or it could be as big as 15 or sometimes even 17 words that you might need to listen to. Now, when you listen to the sentence and repeat it, uh, if you're able to repeat the sentence as it was said, as it is exactly as it was, it means that you repeated the sentence 100% correct. In that case, you'll be getting 3 out of 3 for this particular sentence on content. So this is the scoring only for content. The scoring for pronunciation and fluency is different from this. It is an additional calculation that we'll discuss, but this is just the scoring for the content, which means the words that you're repeated that you're repeating, this scoring is specifically targeted to that. So the content is basically every replacement. Okay, first let us look what the errors are. So every replacement, omission, or insertion of a word would be considered as an error. Replacement means that if you just change the word, for example, if the word was for, and if you just make it off instead of for, that is a replacement. If you omit a word, which means you just completely skip a word, mostly this happens that you would skip articles like and the, or you might add an article extra like or the. In that case, that would be considered as an error. It would be considered as a serious error. So you that is one error within the sentence that you're speaking. Now, if you're able to repeat the sentence 100% correct, which means without any replacement, without any omission, or without any insertion, in that case, you'll be getting 3 out of 3 for the content part for the particular sentence. At the same time, if you're not able to repeat the sentence 100%, what if you just miss one or two words? So if you're just able to repeat the sentence 50% correct or more than 50% correct, in that case, you'll be getting a 2 out of 3 for the content. And if you're just able to repeat even one word or up to 50% of the sentence, then you'll be getting 1. 0 is the score that you'll be getting if you do not respond at all. So a very clear message to all of you who would have a question that what if I'm not able to get the sentence. Just be calm and listen to whatever words you can at least, and try to repeat at least all the words that you listen to. Even one word that you'll repeat would get you a score of at least 1 out of 3. So you are not getting a score of 0. Even if you get 1 out of 3 for 10 sentences, it would be 10 out of 30. So it is better than getting a 0 out of 30. So remember this very clearly. For any particular sentence where you don't get the entire sentence, even if you just get one word, please speak it. And so this is the scoring pattern for the content. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I'll just stop this. Now let us see the scoring for the oral fluency and pronunciation. Like all the speaking section tasks, even in the repeat sentences, oral fluency and pronunciation are very important for the repeat sentences as well. Like all the tasks of the speaking section, oral fluency and I'll repeat, oral fluency and pronunciation are very important for this particular task also, which is repeat sentences. Now let us look what is the scoring for repeat sentences for the particular fluency and pronunciation. So the maximum marks that you're awarded is 5, that is for fluency, and 5 for pronunciation. Now we discussed in the previous audio that uh, how you can improve your fluency and pronunciation. In that audio we discussed that what is a native like pronunciation and what is a native like fluency. I'll just quickly repeat. Fluency is basically speaking, giving an effortless speech without any unnatural pauses. So if you don't have any unnatural pause, and if whatever you're speaking is effortless, you'll get a full score in fluency. Pronunciation has a slightly more uh, there are two or three factors involved in pronunciation, which is the word level stress, the sentence level stress, and the intonation, that how you're stressing on some particular words. So I'll explain in the next slide when we discuss that how intonation and how pronunciation can can be how you can get a better score in this pronunciation. Fluency, it's very clear that it's a smooth and effortless speech. So the maximum score for pronunciation is 5, fluency it is 5, and content it is 3. So you need to remember this, that try to get the maximum score in. So if you listen to a sentence and if you're not able to repeat the sentence entirely, even whatever you are repeating, whatever part of the sentence that you're repeating, if you are repeating it with proper fluency and pronunciation, it is definitely going to get you good score in these two particular enabling skills, and that would have a very good impact on your actual speaking section score, and at the same time it will also have a very good impact in your overall score. So this is a very important thing that you must remember, that when you are not able to get one the entire sentence, if you just miss out say one word of the sentence, try to just make the sound of that word, or try to make a similar sound of a similar sound, and just uh, get over it and make sure that the entire sentence that you're speaking is at least fluent. All right, so this is the scoring: fluency, pronunciation, and content. Make sure that you try to get the best in content, but if you're not able to get anyhow, or if you miss something, at least keep in mind that fluency and pronunciation score, you don't lose that score. All right. Now let us see that what is the best way to what is the best way in which you can perform in this section. What is the best way to approach this particular section? So before we see that what is how to remember the sentence and repeat it, it is very important to understand that how do we normally speak in our day-to-day life. Because if we understand that how we normally speak in our day-to-day life, that would help you to understand that how you should listen when you come across this part, when you come across any sentence in this particular task. So if you just see how we speak a sentence, we speak the sentence in a natural way. The natural way of speaking any sentence in any language, not only in English, the natural way of speaking any sentence in any given language is to chunk words into groups. It is to chunk words into groups when we say them, and we normally have a momentary, a very small pause after each group of words. That is the natural way we speak. For example, the if I want to introduce myself, I would say that my name is Nilesh and I'm a trainer. So if you just look, I've highlighted the sentence in a particular way so that you can understand that how these two chunks, or these chunks of groups actually form two different groups. The first group is my name is Nilesh and I am a trainer. Now if you look, there are two different, this is what is called as phrases, and this is the natural way in which we normally speak, and this is the natural way in for speaking, in fact, any language. It's not just about English, whatever your native language would be. This is the way we speak, and this is the way uh, we normally even capture the information in our mind. We just look capture the first phrase and the second phrase. So this is the most natural way of listening. This is the natural way, and we normally listen in this way. So now I just say that if we are listening in the same way, why don't sorry, if we are speaking in the same way, why don't we listen in the same way? Actually, the best way to listen and remember a sentence for this particular task is to listen to the sentence in the same way we would expect ourselves to speak that particular sentence. So, for example, when we are speaking, as I said right now, that when we speak in chunks. When I introduce myself and I say I'm Nilesh and I'm a trainer, we just group some words together and some other group of words together. So that is the way we speak. So in the same way, we should be even listening to. So it is very important that we try to speak in the same manner. All right. So the natural way we speak, the natural way we should listen to. And what is the natural way? I'll just repeat again. The natural way is to listen for phrases and understand the meaning of each phrase. So don't listen just for the words, but listen for the phrases. If you listen for the words, what will happen? I'll just explain you in a very shortly. Yeah. So the words which form a phrase are usually grouped together when we say them. The words which form a phrase are usually grouped together when we say them. Now, if you see, this entire sentence is formed into three phrases and have been highlighted in three different colors. The words which form a phrase are usually grouped together when we say them. So, if you see, when I'm speaking the same sentence, there will be a momentary pause when a phrase is over and a new phrase starts. The words which form a phrase are usually grouped together when we say them. And this is the natural way we speak. And if we try to listen in the same natural way, then I'm very sure that uh, you'll be able to improve your performance in this particular task. Now, if the same thing, if I'm saying it like this, the words which form a phrase are usually grouped together when we say them. Does it make sense to you? No. Be very difficult for you to understand the meaning of this entire sentence because now it has become an unnatural way of speaking. So when we are not able to understand a sentence, when the speaker speaks in an unnatural way, how would we be able to listen and understand a sentence when we try to listen to it in an unnatural way? So, and that is how I've seen that most of our friends are doing, that they're trying to just catch words instead of trying to catch and understand the phrases that have been said. If you'll be trying to catch the words, believe me, you'll never be able to find out, or you'll never be able to identify or get to the bottom of this particular task, and this will keep on harassing you. And as we have discussed during the beginning of this particular webinar, that this is a very important task when it comes to your speaking score and listening score. This task involves the ability to listen to a particular information and then repeat that information exactly as it is. And if you see the sub skill that the skill that you're using here, the main skill that you're using here is that you're listening to the sentence and then repeating the same information. Now, the same type of thing you're doing in right from dictation. So your ability to listen and repeat an information would get you very good score in speaking, listening, and because you're doing the same thing in right from dictation, it would again get you a good score in listening and writing. So just one ability to listen and understand a sentence and repeat it has a lot of weightage in PTE. If you miss out a few sentences in repeat sentence and just one or two in write from dictation, it will be very difficult, or I would say practically impossible to achieve the perfect score, practically impossible to go above 65 or 79 in that case. So that is why it is very important to master this task. And to master this task, you should try and listen to the sentence in the natural way. And the natural way of listening to the sentence is to listen for the phrases. The same way that we speak, we group some words, a chunk of words together, we group them and then we speak so that there is a meaning in what we are saying. If we do the same thing when we are uh, listening, that is then we would be able to listen for the meaning and get the best output from this particular task. Now let us have a look at another important thing that you have to keep in mind. It's not just the words that would help you to understand the meaning. There is one more very essential and important thing apart from the words. Words, yes, they are important. Chunking the words into phrases and understanding the phrases, yes, that is very important. If you're able to identify the phrases, you're going to perform very nice. But at the same time, apart from phrases, there is one more important thing, that if you're able to listen in the sentence, or if you're listening to the sentence keeping that in mind, you'll be able to remember the sentence and understand the sentence very uh, properly or nicely, or in a very good manner. So what is that? To understand a sentence, you would also need to focus on the speaker's tone and on the rising and falling intonation in the sentence. You'll have to focus on the tone of the speaker. Oh, this is something wrong. Focus on the tone of the speaker's tone. Just ignore this. Focus on the tone of the speaker. Right? Just ignore this part over here. Focus on the, let's do it this way. Right? So just ignore this part. Focus on the speaker's tone and on the rising and falling intonation in the sentence. Now, what is the rising and falling intonation? When you just increase the pitch of your sound to specify something, or to decrease the pitch of the sound, it changes the meaning of the sentence. So try to focus on the tone and the rising and falling intonation, along with listening to the sentence for phrasing. You club these two things and you'll understand the meaning of the sentence. Now let's just have a quick look at what are the times when you normally find rising intonation, and what are the times when you normally find falling intonation within a sentence. Well, now sentences that list items. So sentences that list items means you have 4 or 5 things together with commas or semicolons separating them. This is the time when you normally see that there is a rise in the intonation of the speaker, or when there are questions which have a yes or no answer. Uh, in those questions, or there are some requests, you will see a rise in the intonation. All right. So this is when you'll see the rise on the intonation, and then the fall in the intonation. When do we see fall? So whenever we see a sentence ending, if you carefully, whenever now you listen to a sentence, try to observe these all things within a sentence. You will see that when a sentence ends, there is an ending of the sentence, there will be a falling intonation. Whenever you will listen to questions that start with which, where, who, or why. Now this is a general thing. And generally, you will see that these sentences would end with a falling intonation. Why are you here? Which of this is correct? Which of these is correct? You fall the intonation. And when there is an end to the command commanding instruction, and end to the command, and you will see a falling intonation. So these are the two different type of intonation, the rising and falling intonation, that you'll normally see within a sentence. And you'll have to try and observe the rising and falling intonation along, and that would help you to understand the tone of the speaker. And with this, you'll be able to understand the sentence perfectly, or in a better manner. Now, I have just a small example for you that will help you to understand that how intonation works. Now, the arrows that I've marked show that how rising intonation works, and in the sentence ending there is a falling intonation, right? So just have a look at this. When we speak this particular sentence, it is like this: I need to practice chunking, sentence stress, and intonation. I need to practice chunking, sentence stress, and intonation. I need to practice chunking, sentence stress, and intonation. Now, if you observe, there'll be a rise in the intonation when there are items separated by commas, and when there is a sentence ending, there is a fall in the intonation. Slowly start observing these things when you listen to a sentence. Start observing or taking a mental note of all these things, and you'll be surprised to find that there is a lot that you can do just by understanding, a lot you can capture by just focusing on the tone and the intonation, and looking out for phrases within the sentences. I don't say that this would happen overnight. Yes, it would take some time. You'll need certain practice for this. But if you keep on doing this, you'll definitely slowly and gradually will start to master it. And believe me, if you work hard, you'll definitely be able to improve a lot in this particular task just by focusing on few things such as the phrases, the intonation, and the tone of the speaker. All right, we'll do a few sentences, a few practice sentences. I'll be reading out the sentences to you. So basically I'll be reading the sentences out from my screen. You won't be able to see the sentences as of now, but yes, you can listen to the sentences and type them in the chat box, and let's see that how you guys do. All right. So let's start with the first sentence. Now listen for the tone, listen for the rising and falling intonation. Just close your eyes. Don't try to write down the sentences. Just listen to the sentence, listen to the tone, try and identify the phrases, and try to get the answer. Don't worry if you don't get it perfectly, right? For all those who are looking at this video on YouTube, you can just type in your answers in the comment box below. All right. So let's start with the first sentence. Let's see how many of you are getting it. If you're unable to complete the task in time, please notify me by email. Perfect. GK has got it perfect. Oh, a lot of people. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Sandeep Singh, Abhi, Viju, Iswaran. Wonderful. Lavkesh, wonderful. Great. All right. So the correct answer is I'll just I'll show you the answer in the end. But yes, most of you have got it correct. If you are unable, I'll share the exact answers in the end. I'll share my screen so that you can have a look at the answers. Right now, I'll just repeat it once. The sentence was like this. If you are unable to complete the task in time, please notify me by email. This was the sentence. And a lot of you have got it correct. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's do one more. Ready? All right. Extra seminars will be scheduled to assist you with revision. All right, Malapitan. Viju, GK. All right, Amir Reza, Kirti, Rajesh, Robin, Sandeep, Robin, Nafas, Muhammad. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, now let us have I'll just repeat it again. So it was extra seminars will be scheduled to assist you with revision. Wonderful. Now let's do one more. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'll read out the sentence one by one and then I'll share the screen at the end. All right, next sentence. Close your eyes, be alert, be attentive. This is the sentence. Students who wish to apply for an extension should approach their tutors. Okay, Sandeep, I'm going to answer it. All right, wonderful, wonderful, Lavkesh, D. Kumar, Tamanna. Wonderful, good. Great, guys, Robin. Okay, I'll repeat it. Students who wish to apply for an extension should approach their tutors. Let's have a look at the next one. The conference is predicted to draw greater numbers than last year. Right, this was fast, but surprise, no answers. All right, let me give you another chance for the same one. It is going to be a bit fast, so be alert. The conference is predicted to draw greater numbers than last year. Okay, Lokesh. Tamanna, wonderful. Good. All right, well tried, guys. Well tried. Okay, so I'll repeat it slowly now. The conference is predicted to draw greater numbers than last year. Well, let's do the next one, a short one. You need to draw a proposal for your research. Okay, Rajesh, wonderful, very quick. GK, quick. Sejal, quick. Oh, you need to draw a proposal for your research. Wonderful. Most of you've got it right, exactly right, as it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I'll repeat it slowly again. You need to draw a proposal for your research, and most of you got it right. Okay, the next one, it's slightly longer but very easy. Let's see how many of you get. Be ready. Distance learning has become far more popular these days. Okay. All right, Sandeep, it's not distress, it's distance. Dharmendra, you need to check your spelling for distance. All right, I repeat it. Distance learning has become far more popular these days. Okay. Now, last two, I just got a request that we need to do it. All right. I need to give you some faster questions. I mean, sentences. So this is a short one. It's an easy one, but I try to make it fast and I'll try to complicate by adding some change in tone. All right. Be ready. Computer software has changed a lot in the last year. All right, wonderful. Most of you got it correct. It's not softwares, it is software. All right, I'll repeat it. Computer software has changed a lot in the last year. Okay, now the last one, slightly long and I'll be slightly fast. Okay, so be alert. Detailed analysis of population growth has revealed some alarming predictions. Wonderful, Rajesh. GK, wonderful. Okay, Sejal, you need to check your spelling for analysis. Lokesh, good. Wonderful, most of you are getting it. Sandeep. All right, Sandeep, I'll repeat it slowly. Listen carefully. Detailed analysis of population growth has revealed some alarming predictions. All right, it's time to share the screen and let you guys have a look at all the sentences. Well, most of you have got it correct. Most of you have got most of it correct. But still, let us have a look at the sentences. Thank you, Abby, for your comment. So the first one was, I've marked them, I've separated into the shorter phrases so that you can try and identify that which are the words that should be grouped together. And I have marked this the things that have been underlined, the words that have been underlined. I just wanted to see, I would just wanted you to understand that there is always a pattern in the sentences. If you see to complete, to assist, to apply, to draw, the same phrase. It could be a verbal phrase or it could be a noun phrase, but you would be seeing these phrases regularly in the sentences. If you are unable to complete the task in time, please notify me by email. Now, if you look, when I read the sentences, just try to see the momentary pause and just try to observe or feel the grouping of words. Extra seminars will be scheduled to assist you with revision. Students who wish to apply for an extension should approach their tutors. The conference is predicted to draw greater numbers than last year. You need to draw a proposal for your research. Distance learning has become far more popular these days. Just observe the slight pause and just observe the grouping of words. Just try to follow the grouping of words. Computer software has changed a lot in the last year. Detailed analysis of population growth has revealed some alarming predictions. Right? If you just look at the last three sentences, has become, has changed, has revealed, this this sort of pattern you'll just be finding every time when you do sentences. Make sure that you don't listen to the words, but try to listen to this as a group or chunk of words. Try to follow the intonation, try to listen for the phrases within the sentences and try to get the meaning of the sentence. And please do not try and write the sentences. This has never worked for, I don't know anyone for whom this has worked in repeat sentences. You'll never be able to get it 100% correct. Instead, try to listen for the meaning, try to understand the meaning, and that would be a more easier way. You'll just need some practice. If you have not practiced in this way and you're just writing it and doing it, I would just say that just keep on, just keep and try this method at least for once, and you'll know that this is a far more effective method compared to just writing it down. So I would suggest that please practice doing that. Right. Let's have a look at some questions and I'll see if I'll try and answer most of them. All right. All right. GK asks that, is it a lot or a lot? GK, it is a lot in the last year. Yes, it is a lot. And is, if there are 10 words and I pronounce 6 words, then will I get 100% marks? Sandeep. No, Sandeep, you won't be getting 100% marks for you won't be getting 100% for the content at least, but yes, you would definitely be getting a good score for pronunciation and fluency if you are able to follow the tone. But what I would suggest, Sandeep, is that if you're not able to get the words, but still if you are just able to even get the sound of the words, I would say that try and mimic the sound if possible. All right, so if the sentence is that, if the sentence is something like this, that you need to draw a proposal for your research and you did not get the word proposal, then I would just say that just make the sound. You need to draw a proposal for your research. You need to draw a proposal for your research. Just do that. Don't let the tone or don't let the flow break, because that way you'll still be able to manage a good score in the fluency and pronunciation part. Okay, Abby says that the unnatural sounds like do not reduce any marks. Is it correct? See, if you any momentary pause, but it does not break the fluency, then it will not be. All right, you need to understand this. If it is breaking the fluency, you are losing marks on fluency. You're not losing marks for unnatural sounds or unnatural extension. You might not lose marks on content, but still the it would affect the overall fluency and pronunciation. So Abby, what I would suggest is that yes, it is correct that it does not have an impact on the content part, but it still would have an impact on the fluency. So try to maintain the fluency and just don't try to have the unnatural pauses. GK says if the middle is not clear to me and I skip or say something with similar sound, will I get all marks for the rest of words? Yes. See, now it is normally a sequencing of words, but by mimicking the sound of the word, the advantage that you have is that you get full score for fluency at least, and at least a better score for pronunciation than just missing or just saying something unnatural. As far as the content is considered, GK, if you are lucky enough, now I'm not saying this, but just off record, I would say that if you're lucky enough, could be that maybe the computer catches the sound as the exact word, and if you're lucky enough, you could get the score for content even. Sandeep, no, noting down the sentence will not help. Believe me, I've we worked with a lot of students on this, but it doesn't help if you have at least not for 65 and 79, not for that. If you're aiming lesser than that, and maybe it could work. Okay, Malapitan is asking that do I need to start immediately or wait? There is a beep, right? No, there is no beep, Malapitan. There is no beep. So you'll just have to see when the box shows recording, when you see those words recording, it's the time you start. But if you're confused, let the blue bar just progress slight and then speak. But don't wait too long. Okay, Abby, is there any tips and tricks? Then practice more. Uh, yeah, the tips and the tricks are that you'll have to try and listen as naturally as possible. Try to listen to a lot of academic vocabulary, and so yes, all that is a part of practice. So the small tips and tricks that I told you is that if you're not able to get the word, try to make the sound of the word. But there is no running away from practice here. You'll at least have to do some practice. This is not a task where content does not matter. Here the content at least has some weightage, so make sure that you practice. There's no alternative to practice, and you need to understand at the end, hard work beats talent. So if you work hard, you can definitely get it. Okay, GK says that I used to forget some words from second half or as soon as I start speaking the sentence. How can I improve that? Short-term memory. You need to work on your short-term memory. You need to work on focus, GK. You need to work on focusing on stuff. So if you're looking, I mean, if you're distracted by something, try to focus. Look at your screen, or just look down at the table, or just look at the keyboard or anywhere. But just don't. Um, Focus on something else. Okay, now one of my friends who is in Australia got 79 and advised me to be unable to understand sentence, just murmur the sentence starting and ending correctly. And does it work? Okay, Sandeep, it depends, and that what your friend said about the starting and ending and murmuring the sentence, it depends. 79, wonderful, but it depends on for how much long the starting and ending was it for. So every case is different. I would suggest that don't just blindly copy uh, the uh, the technique that worked for someone, because your ability and his or her ability to sound and his or her tone could be very different. So try to get it as perfectly as possible. All right, Ramindra, to your question is to improve the memory power. There are a lot of games, online games that help improve the memory power. Focus is a very important thing. If you can focus, if you can play some of those games to improve your memory, that would be wonderful. All right, so just go online, look games, and try to improve on that as well. So this would be enough for today. And all those who watch the video on YouTube, I would just say that you can, if you like the video, you can subscribe the channel, and we'll make sure that we keep on uploading more videos like this. Goodbye.